Hello and welcome to Black Cats Chat, the international fans podcast for Sunderland FC. My name is Lee Thurgle. I'm from the Bilbao Black Cats, and today we've got a preview of the West Ham game this Saturday, first game of the Premier League season. I'm joined by my old friend Jeffrey Barker. He's in Menorca. Jeff, you're sweating away there. You got the
I
aircon
am.
on. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. Hot and bothered like everybody else here at the moment, but yeah, it's a busy time of the year for me. But pretty much, I think I've got everything under control.
Yeah,
It's as under control as it's ever going to be, I think.
touch wood, touch wood. And we've also got a new guest to the podcast. It's Neil. Neil is originally, normally he's in Dubai. He's from the Dubai branch, or is it United Arab Emirates branch? But he's in England at the minute. He's on holiday. So, Neil, welcome to the podcast. How are you, mate?
I'm very good. I'm actually enjoying some unseasonably nice weather in the UK. It's been glorious the last couple of days. So I don't think I need to go back to UAE. I don't need the good weather there.
Yeah, I bet. But trust it, it'll probably turn shit tomorrow when me and Jeff go over to watch the match on Saturday. So, anyway, Neil, it's your first time on the pod, and every time we have new guests on, we like to hear their Sunderland stories, where they're from, and how they ended up basically where they are, and what part of what branch are you part of, etc. So, do you want to tell us your Sunderland story, please?
So, my story, I was born what feels like a very long time ago in 1972. So I don't remember the 73 Cup final very well, but I've heard the oldest stories about it. I think I started going to Roker Park when I was about 8 or 9. I think my dad took me once, and he was always a Sunderland fan, but he worked on Saturdays. So he took me once at a young age and then said, right, you'll have to get on with it yourself. So I used to get the bus through from Belmont, the 220 bus through to Roker Park and go and stand in the full end. And then I left. So I was watching all the way through the very grim times in the early 80s. And then I left Durham in 1990. So playoff time, I was there for them. And then I followed them when I was a student in Manchester. So the huge relegation decided day when we took 15,000 Main Road, I was there that day. And then I had a season ticket actually all the way through until about 5 years ago. So I watched them all the way through the 2000s, the good times. And then the move to Dubai sort of coincided with us slithering down the league, the Sunderland Till I Die days. But we stuck together, and we've got a good branch out here. There's probably 100, 150, maybe more people in the branch.
Brilliant.
I mean, we were getting down to the bare bones during the Div 1 days and the Championship relegation days. But last season was pretty busy, and for the playoff game and for the Wembley match, we had like 250, 300 people all in one place. It was fantastic. So it's a very active branch. And there's a lot of people from all over the place, as you might imagine. It reflects Dubai, really. You get a lot of people from the northeast. You get a lot of people with family from the northeast, and you get some people that you would never think would be Sunderland fans. But we all get together. That's what we do.
Yeah, brilliant. And as you're in England at the minute, are you at the match on Saturday?
I am going to the match on Saturday. So I went to the Real Betis game, and I'm going to the West Ham match. We're going with my son. He grew up in Dubai, but he's a mad keen Sunderland fan, and he was badgering me to go to West Ham. And I'm saying, like, kid, it's going to be hard in the Premier League. He's like, yeah, I want to go. So because I don't have a season ticket anymore, I thought I'll just go and get a ticket. It'd be fine. Looked like 5 minutes after they'd been released, all gone. So I said, what do we do here? And he said, oh, why don't we just do it in the corporate seats? I said, okay. How much does that cost? He went, oh, no, it's only X. And I nearly fell off my chair. And I'm not having that. He said, Dad, I'll pay for it out of my pocket money. And I thought, one, you're mad. And two, God bless you, lad, you've got it. You understand. You understand. Yeah, we'll be going to the West Ham game. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, because I think like the cheapest was about 400, 500, I think.
Well, we managed to get ones at a very reasonable price of 240 quid, I think, for which you get not very much, but I didn't want to let him down, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now I've got the tickets. I'm thinking, yeah, it's the right thing to do. I mean, you can't miss the first game, right?
Oh, yeah, brilliant. Brilliant. Are you in Founders Bar? Is that where you're going?
Yeah, I think it's called Founders 76 or something weird. Or
Yeah.
it's in. So is that the one that you're in front of the away fans? Up in
Founders, I
the
think, is the one that the club shop where the club shop used to be near the main entrance. That's been converted into Founders Bar now.
No, I think we're in the one that's up at the top of the north stand. They
Oh,
look
the
like
the old Black Cats bar, I think.
yes, that'll be it. Yeah. Which I'm
Yeah,
slightly concerned. I'm sure you're right underneath the West Ham fans who are not known for their generosity and fair play, are they?
that's okay. I'll sort them out because I'm right next to them anyway. So,
Yeah,
but
I noticed when you sent me the thing where you said you were going to be, Lee. I thought, oh, I thought he was right in the corner there where the away fans are.
yeah, that's where I am. That's always available, like in the upper northwest. Is it north?
Yeah, yeah,
No, northwest upper. Yeah, like
yeah,
P16,
yeah.
P17. I was like, it's quite close to the away fans. I've got me kids, but anyway, we'll do it. But anyway, Neil, thanks for that, and maybe we can meet up on Saturday pre or post match sometime and have a drink as well. I know Jeff's going to be there. What we'll say about that. Anyway, Jeff, on to Saturday then. We've got a big game. Confident or not? After what you've seen in pre-season, the friendlies, the transfer business, what's your
Well, I mean,
thoughts?
yeah, optimistic. I think. I have zero expectation for this season. I'm not getting carried away. I'm going to try and stay realistic and stay grounded. I expect us to get 0 points, so anything better than that will be a bonus. And I was just thinking about it today that I can see our starting 11 for Saturday, not including, well, other than Ballard
And Hume, possibly.
and Hume, nobody else.
Well, Mayenda, possibly. Three players out of that playoff final team
Yeah.
are
Well, I'm thinking
probably
he's
going to.
going to start with the kid from Chelsea up front.
I don't think so.
You don't?
No, I don't because he hasn't played any minutes yet. He had like an extended break, didn't he, after the Club World Cup? I don't think he's ready. Um,
Okay, but it's
but
going to be a very different team, regardless to what we saw in the playoff final. Very different, and it's just going to depend how quickly these guys can gel, and can he make it click from the start, or are we going to be a shambles and they're all waving their arms about and pointing at each other, saying, you should be doing this and you should be doing that. I don't think it's something. I mean, I'll be astonished if he manages to do it, but I was astonished that he managed to get us up. Is
yeah,
he a wizard?
must be,
Is he a
must be
wizard?
French wizard, eh? Merlin.
Yeah.
Neil, do you feel a bit sad that the point that Jeff just made there that possibly only three of the players that started in the final will be starting on Saturday, or is that just the natural evolution of moving from Championship football to Premier League?
Well, it's a bit of both. I think it has to be both. So it was great to watch that team in the last couple of years come together, and it was a team that you really enjoyed playing, but you enjoyed watching them as people and as footballers. They felt like a bunch of guys you could get behind, you liked, and that hasn't always been the case the last few years. So from that perspective, I'll be sorry to see that team kind of broken up a bit, but I think you need to be realistic. I think I was looking back thinking about this. Last year, I was watching a bit of the Premier League, and I was watching Wolves, right? And I was thinking, bloody hell, Wolves are good, and they're so much better than we are. Like, they're much better players the way they play, the speed of the game, the technical ability. And then I looked at the league table, and they were 18th. And I thought, oh my God, what on earth would we do when we go up? So from that point of view, you're going to need to improve the team, and you're going to need a lot more players because you're going to need much greater depth. And the thing is, if you find out your players aren't good enough and you don't have anybody to replace them with early on, you're in deep, deep trouble because you're not going to do anything till January. So the game's up at that point. So it will be a bit of a shame to see only 2 or 3 of the normal regular faces, but we just need players of a higher caliber. That's just realistic. I mean, I feel sorry for somebody like Dan Neil, who I always thought was a very, very good footballer, played great last year, and it looks like he might not get anywhere near the starting lineup, at least at the start of the season. So I feel sorry for him, but just kind of the way it is. We have to be realistic. We're in the best league in the world, which places the demands on players that they just won't have faced in the Championship. So yeah, a bit of both.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Jeff, on the point of Dan Neil, I mean, yeah, we've bought Granit Xhaka, we've bought Diarra, Siddiqui. They all look a cut above, don't they? But is that not just like for Dan Neil to look up and say, okay, listen, I'm going to play with these players. I can learn from them and I
Yeah,
can improve myself and try and get better. Or
yeah,
he could just basically say, I've got no chance of getting the team. I can get a move elsewhere because I've got 150 games under my belt at the championship level in League One. I'm just
yeah.
going to take the easy option. So what do you think he's
Well,
going to do then?
it's it's down to him. He's got to step up. He had a poor game in that playoff final. I know, the games came thick and fast at the end of the season, but my sort of take, I was one of his staunchest critics. I didn't think he had a good end of season at all. Now, what's happened close season, he's had a rest. Is he refreshed? But he needs to raise his game to play at that level. Otherwise, he'll get found out very, very quickly. And it is dog eat dog in the Premier League, isn't it? And we've made that step up. With the bookies' favourites, every bookie you look at, has got his odds on to go down. As I say, and that's why personally I've got zero expectation. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a fantastic season. I'm really going to enjoy it. But as I said earlier, let's be realistic. We've got a complete mismatch of players who've come in from all over the place. Not used to playing with each other at the moment. It's going to depend how quickly they can sort it out, and Regis gets to see what his strongest 11 is. I'm loving the fact that loads of midfielders have come in and wingers, and they're talking about exciting players and what have you. And let's hope somebody can click. It's only going to take one or two of them to click and somebody to bang half a dozen goals in the first 10 games, and it'll be a different story, won't it? But it's the uncertainty, and nobody knows what's going to happen, do we? No, nobody knows. I don't think anybody can predict. Do we hit the ground running? Are we going to get dipped week in, week out?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Neil, you mentioned before, like about the last few years, the team that we had, the squad that we had from League One, that there was like such a good relationship there. That's kind of been broken up now, hasn't it? Because we've got all sorts of players. We've got these French-speaking lads now. We've got these Spanish-speaking lads. I mean, you've got Mayen, the Spanish-speaking, Guy, Reynildo, the new guy, Alderete, then you got the French-speaking lads. Is that going to be a problem for Lebris possibly to integrate them? Because apparently he said that on the training ground, everything is in English.
Yeah, no, and that's true. In fact, we were at the same hotel as the players, not this summer, but last summer when they were in Spain. And so we saw a lot of them interacting with each other and chatting around the pool and the restaurant and stuff. And they all spoke English. None of them were, I mean, obviously the French-speaking players tended to hang out together a bit, but on the training ground, they did all speak English. And in the hotel and bar, they were speaking English. So I had a chat with Mayenda, speaks very good English, conversational, no problem. So there was no issue with that kind of thing. And I think football now at the highest level in Europe, players do communicate in English in most clubs actually, and not just in the UK. So in Spanish clubs and in German clubs and Portuguese clubs, there will be a lot of English spoken, and a lot of the staff are English speaking as well. A lot of the training staff, strength conditioning, all those kind of guys. So I don't think that's a major issue. I think the difficult thing is going to be, like Jeff said, when the chips are down, or you're under pressure, or you've lost a few games, are they looking at each other on the pitch going, I don't know if I can trust you. What are your strengths and weaknesses? Who's in it together with us on this one? That'll be the difficult thing. And that's when people like Luke O'Nien were great, because Luke O'Nien's there for the vibes, right? He's a motivator. He's not a Premier League player. But when you needed somebody to slow the game down, win yourself a free kick, have a little chat with the referee so people get the breath back, that's the kind of thing that Luke O'Nien was very good at, and getting the bond with the fans, and he's a clever footballer, Luke O'Nien. So you're going to miss that unless someone else can provide it. Now I think that's why they bought Granit Xhaka, because if you look at the way he plays, he's going to be central to everything. He's going to take set pieces. He's a very big physical presence. He's very used to playing in the Premier League. He's very good with referees. Well, he gets in the notebook, but they respect him. He can talk to them. Players like that are going to take on that kind of Luke O'Nien match day role. But yeah, the question is, are we good enough? And we We just don't know, and we'll find out very quickly. And in a way, West Ham is a good game. I'm really looking forward to it as well. West Ham's a good game because they're not a great team. They're not a great side. They've got problems. They haven't really recruited many players. If we go into that game and get hammered, we know we've got a problem. If we go into that game and play like we did against Betis, where I thought we played very well, then I think we chance. And, if you string 2 or 3 games together where you get a draw and a win or a couple of draws, then you start getting a bit of confidence. And I think that'll be what decides whether or not we do a Southampton or whether we do a Bournemouth or a Brighton or a Brentford.
Yeah. No, an interesting one. And Jeff, on the point of Granit Xhaka, I mean, is that the coup of the season?
Well, yeah. I mean, has he got any more races up his sleeve? We're talking about some mystery centre forward that we're in for. I would love to see Danny Welbeck come. I think, experience and be an impact player. Maybe start some, come off the bench. I think proven record. He knows the club, having been there before. I know he's at the end of his career, but he will consistently score goals in the Premier League. And if he was available, I would snap him up. I genuinely think so. But perhaps there's somebody else. I do think we're a bit light forward wise. As we said, we've got the kid from Chelsea and Mayenda and Isidore.
Isidore and Abdullahi, but I don't think he's really going to be playing much in the Premier League this season.
No, he's going to be like the second string, isn't he?
Yeah.
Have they got somebody lined up to come in? Another marquee signing? So,
I mean, there's been a few names. I mean, there was Welbeck that was rumoured the other day as well, and there was obviously the guy from Leipzig, Openda, and yesterday as well, someone mentioned the Ukrainian striker from Roma called Dobvik, who obviously Gisolfi actually bought Dobvik from, I think he got him from Girona, took him to Roma, and now he's might take him to Sunderland, so that's like a link as well.
yeah.
But Neil, is that an area you think we need to strengthen still up front?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, if you look at Mayenda, the number of chances that he needs to score a goal is way more than you can get away with in the Premier League. Similar for Isidore. I mean, different kinds of players, but ultimately they are players that in a bad season in the Premier League would score 4 or 5 goals. Not enough. You need a player who you can probably rely on to get 10 to 15 to give you a chance. We don't have anybody like that. We just don't. So we do need to strengthen up front. I think about the way we play, though. We won't go out and buy a big target man or a lead the line kind of player. We're going to have to accept that we will have a lot of time this season, and it's by design that we don't have a lot of possession, and then we have to rely on quick players wide, working in triangles to get chances. Right? That's how Lebris has played. You look at the playoff games. That's what he did. He did it in the spell last season, very successful, and we got away with it. We executed it very well in the Championship because when you play that way in the Championship, you can afford to give the other team lots of possession because they're probably not going to come back and create much. I mean, many a time you've sat and said, why aren't we getting forward? Why aren't we getting forward? And we could just sit and let them play in front of us and then hit them. And it worked really well. That's what he's going to try in the Premier League. And it might work, but it only works if you've got guys who can actually take a chance 1 out of 2, 1 out of 3.
Yeah.
I don't think Mayenda is that kind of player yet. Isidore is sort of streaky. There'll be a few games where he looks like he's amazing and he will score eye-catching goals. But then there are other games where it's not quite going for him, or he picks up a niggle, or it's just because I think consistency is his problem. The lad from Chelsea, we don't know. I mean, Chelsea have 100 players on the books. You never know if they're going to be any good or not because it's a farm system where they'll pick someone up for a small fee and then just double the money in a couple of years. Whether they're any good, they don't even know, right? Yeah, they're all professional footballers, but do they have the quality, especially in the striker position, to really make a difference? We just don't know. So it wouldn't surprise me to see them go and try and sign another striker, but I don't think it would be name. And at some point, I mean, I don't know what you guys think about this, but surely we've got to run out of money at some point, or money we can spend. I don't know.
Yeah, because I think it's like 11 players, 147 million. I think that's what we spent now, something like that. But David Bruce was saying that we're not in a position where we have to worry about PSR at the minute. So I was like, oh, fair enough. But Jeff, on that point though, he made a good point at my end of that he needs several chances to score. And what I've noticed about Mayenda is that when he's got time to think about what he has to do to finish, he struggles. And we
Yeah,
saw that with the penalty miss that he had against Augsburg because he did this stupid slow run up, which I hate. And then he also had a one-on-one chance in that game, and he did the same thing. And if you go back to last season, I think, was it the Blackburn and Stoke away game, or Stoke at home, Blackburn away? He had a couple of one-on-ones in those games, and he fluffed them.
yeah,
But if you look at the goal that he scored in the playoff final,
Yeah.
yeah,
it was one touch and bang. So I
yeah,
think
yeah,
that
yeah,
with Mayenda, what he needs is basically less time to think on the ball, the better he is at finishing.
yeah, yeah. Quite agree. You overthink things, but it's going to be a lot to do with positional sense and one thing and another as well. Um, it, he's untested, isn't he? As most of them are in the Premier League. Whether or not he can step up to the mark, it remains to be same. But we can say that about so many of the players, can't we? I think tactically, Lebris will have a system worked out as Neil was saying earlier on about playing these little triangles and things. Whether or not that format is suited to playing against the Premier League sides that have been there for a long time, I've no idea. There's so many ifs and buts, and there's so much up in the air for us at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And until we get past, I'm looking at those first 3 games, which if we do stand any chance of staying up, we have to take
Some points. Yeah.
4 points out of those 3 games to realistically stand any chance, and try and work on that. If we can pick 4 points up every 3 games, we'll be all right, won't we?
Yep. Neil, one of the other positions that's interesting is the goalkeeper because Anthony Patterson, he's been there since League One promotion, Championship promotion. Something has gone on during the summer. We don't know what, injury or off the field issues. But we brought in this Dutch lad for what, 12, 15 million. He's come straight in, and it looks like Patterson's now out of the picture as number 1, isn't he?
Well, again, going back to what I said about the training camp in Spain, I was looking at him, talking to a few of the players, watching them train, looking at them close up. Anthony Patterson, it's going to sound really harsh, but he's not athletic. He doesn't look like an athlete. I know goalkeepers are slightly different. There's sometimes a bit of an odd shape, but there's a bit of puppy fat about him still. And I heard this from, I think it was either an agent or a coach somewhere, saying that when Premier League clubs looked at Patterson, they weren't convinced, they didn't think his ability was the problem. They were concerned about his professionalism and his work rate and his ceiling based on what that hard work would take him to, or lack of it. And maybe, and this is all speculation, and I'm sure a lot of it's nonsense, maybe he doesn't take things as seriously off the field as he does on the field. He's always been a good professional for the club, and I thought he's had some excellent games. I think the reason that they have looked for another keeper isn't actually the off-field stuff. It's probably his potential, and I think it's undoubtedly his footwork. I don't think his distribution is Premier League level. And you look at keepers like Nick Pope, for example. A lot of Newcastle fans criticise him. I think he's a very good goalkeeper, but they say his kicking's awful. Now, awful doesn't mean awful, you know what I mean? But in the Premier League, awful kicking will get you into trouble. And you saw that with Southampton last year. Some criminal stuff coming at the back from their keeper because of the way that Russell Martin was asking him to play. But the new kid, his footwork's exceptional. He can kick with both feet, and he's very calm. So he's very good at distributing the ball upfield without just hoofing it and distributing it to a player in space. You've got to have that in the Premier League. If you want to try and maintain any possession, your goalkeeper has to be able to give you time. And I think that's why they bought him. Obviously, 15 million is a lot of money for a keeper. I mean, we spent that on Craig Gordon and people nearly fell off their chairs. Nowadays, maybe not, but you do not see goalkeepers going into that much money at that age. You tend to see them sit on the bench for a few years and then come into a team. So they must have looked at him and thought, got a lot of potential. But I think they bought him for his distribution more than anything, which sounds strange for a goalkeeper, but that's the way football is nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff, do you think that we did buy Robin Roos as a number one, or do you think he's just got a bit lucky because of Patterson's absence in this pre-season so far?
Well, as Neil's just said, all of the attributes that he's got are what we need, and that's perhaps the level that Patterson needs to step up to. And I think he's inadvertently been dropped down the ladder. I'm pretty certain the new keeper will start on Saturday.
Yeah,
I'd be very surprised if Patterson's starts on Saturday.
no, I can't. I mean, the fact that he only played what? He played a game. He played against Rayo Vallecano the day, didn't he? Patterson. I don't know if he
I
played the
didn't.
whole match or I think he played 45 minutes. I think 60 minutes. I think he played.
The only
So
game I saw was the Betis game, which I thought we played well. I
mhm.
like the way we're moving the ball. It was all crisp passing. It was all on the floor. It was fast. What it needs to be in the Premier League. The pace that we played at last season in the Championship, we'll have our pants down if we carry on like that. It was very at times very laboured, and it can't be as Neil said. He was watching Wolves, and Wolves were pinging the ball about and playing fast football. That's what we've got to step up to.
Yeah, well, if you look at Palace as well, like keeping Liverpool at bay, I mean, as well, and
Yeah,
getting the win on
yeah.
penalties, I mean, bloody hell. Right, lads, we're going to take a quick break, but we'll be back in a couple of minutes for part two.
Hi, my name is Matteo. I'm from Italy. I've been supporting Sunderland since 2010. How are the lads?
All right, welcome back to part two then. Neil, on to the defence then. It looks like Trey Hume is going to be the only survivor, and Dan Ballard, of course, the only survivors of that playoff final team in the defence. We've got Reynildo and we've got Masuaku on the left wing, on the left fullback position. And then Jensen Silt has been covering centre back, but we've signed this new Paraguayan lad called Omar Alderete, left side centre back. Do you think he's going to go straight in on Saturday?
Yeah, I think so because I'm not sure they would trust Jensen Seal quite yet, given the hardly any football he's played the last 18 months. Reynildo, I think he was bought as a fullback. He played centre back in the Betis game and he looked okay. But I think you're going to go with a specialist centre half. Ballard is nailed in for as long as he stays fit. So I think Alderete will go straight in, which is a bit of a risk, but he's been playing good standard of football in Spain for the last few years. He's an international. What can you expect from him? Don't know, but we don't have that many options in defence that we can know and trust. So yeah, I would say he would start.
Yeah, Jeff, I don't know how much you've seen of Alderete, but I mean, from what I can see of him, he reminds me of like a similar type of defender to Sergio Ramos and Inigo Martinez. Like he's not the tallest, but he's very athletic and very aggressive when he attacks the ball. And he's got a very good left foot on him for long range passing. And I think that's something that Dan Ballard and Jensen Seal don't have in their locker. So I think that's why I reckon he might go straight in on Saturday.
Yeah, I think he will as well. I watch very, very little, if any, Spanish football. I can't watch it. It drives me insane. I can't cope with the histrionics and I just can't. I can't watch it. I just think, are we trying to win a match honestly, or are we just trying to engañar el árbitro?
Yeah, piss off the ref and piss off the fans, and yeah,
and I just don't watch it. But the stuff I've read about him, he made like the team of the year, didn't he?
Yep.
He made the team of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So he must have something about him to be that well thought of. And if we've picked him up, the figures that they're talking about for
10
players
million,
now,
I think, or 12 million. Yeah.
So is that the biggest bargain of the season? Somebody, as you say, if you're talking putting him in with Sergio Ramos, then he's got to be a big asset and a natural left-sided defender. Yeah, left-sided centre half. Sorry.
Yeah, he also played left back as well.
I would expect him to start. I mean, when Sale was only a bit part player really last season, wasn't he?
Well, he didn't play at all.
He was regular. So to be starting to talk about him as your first choice centre half would worry me. So yeah, let's get somebody who's international level and is experienced at La Liga level as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure where Getafe finished up last season in La Liga.
Top 10, I think top 10 it was.
Oh well, there you go. I mean, if he's good enough to play top 10 La Liga, then it'll do for me to start off playing for us on Saturday.
And I think he got like third best centre back in the stats in the league as well, behind Danny Vivian of Athletic Club Bilbao and Inigo Martinez, who was of Barcelona, but now he's gone to Al Nassr, I think, one of the Al teams in Saudi Arabia. Neil, then on the left full back position, we've got Reynildo and we've got Masuaku. I would say Reynildo's probably the number one choice for that at the minute.
Well, I think it has to be. It's a shame that Dennis Serkin isn't fit, because I would have liked to have seen how he got on. I think Dennis Serkin's a very good footballer, very cultured. I don't necessarily think he's going to be quick enough for the Premier League, and I think that applies to, hopefully not, but might apply to Trey Hume as well. Much as I love Trey Hume, I look back to that game when we played in the Cup against Newcastle, January 24, and the whole team was outclassed, but it really made you think, wow, what is his real level? But he's been absolutely solid since, and he's improved dramatically. So yeah, fullback's going to be an issue for us this year. You've got players that are, might be a centre back, might be a fullback. You've got players that might be good enough, might not good enough. You've got players that we don't really know how good they're going to be. I mean, Matsuaki, I don't even remember him very much for West Ham, to be honest with you. And West Ham fans I've spoken to have said he's good going forward, but you wouldn't want him in your defence. So okay, great. So there's a lot of question marks in the defence. The only one that you really know what you're getting and you can be confident in is Dan Ballard. And he's such a good winner of the ball and get you out of trouble sort of defender when the ball's coming in the box. I think going forward, because he's such a big guy, he looks a bit slow, and I think centre forwards will close him down because of that. And his distribution is okay, but it's not as good as Luke O'Nine's, which is why he was in the team. So there's a lot of question marks in the defence for sure.
Yeah. On the flip side of that, though, I reckon the appointment of this new set-piece coach that was announced yesterday, I reckon that we might score a few more headers from Dan Ballard and Alderete. I reckon they'll score a few goals this year. That's my bet of the year. Right, Jeff, onto the midfield then. So obviously Job left. We've signed Diarra, who for me looks a level up than Job at the minute. Everyone thought it would be Lafay, Xhaka, and Diarra, but this little lad called Noor Siddiqui, who's just come from, was it Gillen or San Giloy or something like that, I think it was called, Belgian team he came from, Belgian champions, in fact, this year. And apparently he's been like the shining light of the pre-season out of the new signings. So are you disappointed that Lafay won't get a look in either? No Dan Neil, no Chris Rigg, no Lafay. It's going to be Siddiqui, Xhaka, and Diarra.
Yeah, I mean that's the three. I think everybody's penciling in with Lafay to come on as a sub. I mean, what a great position to be in. To have. We had a pretty solid middle three, didn't we? Of Job, Neil, and Rigg, and then Lafay and Roberts on the outside, and I don't see Roberts getting much game time, to be perfectly honest. Not with the players that we brought in. Rigg the same. I think as we mentioned earlier, Dan Neil, I would say he's off the pace at the moment. It'd be interesting to see if he steps up. Training with all these guys, I'm sure will help them raise the games. And let's hope the kids, because there are kids at the end of the day, aren't there? Let's hope they do step up. Let's hope they do step up and make an impression. It would be good to see them challenging, and I think it's a healthy position for the club to be in, to have all these headers, rather than
I agree with that, Jeff. And if you think about it, I suspect Siddiqui was bought as the backup for Diarra. I mean, what a luxury it is, and we can go and buy a backup for, how much was he, 12, 15 million, something like that. But I think they bought Diarra and Siddiqui together to say, well, Diarra is going to be your your engine midfielder, and Siddiqui will come in as cover. But actually, they work pretty well together because with Siddiqui in there can do that job. I saw Diarra getting forward a lot more than I thought he would be, operating more like Job did, moving into that number 8 position. So we have a bit of luxury there. I do feel a little bit sorry for Lefebvre in that you would have thought he'd be an absolute shoe-in to play in the Premier League just because of his quality. And you think, well, if he's going to get a little bit more time on the ball, he won't get kicked in the air as much. There are better players around him, so he's not the focus of the attention of the defence. He might be able to do something. He's a funny player. He's obviously very talented as a footballer. Question is, can he have impact in matches where you see him do things that other players can't do? In the Premier League, you have to do that, and then something happens at the end of it consistently. Yeah. That's the question mark about him. But as a player to watch, I think he's one of the most talented players. Certainly since the days of like Steve Malbranck and people like that, it's the most talented kind of player we've had at the club.
Well, with Lefebvre, Jeff, my question is, would he be able to be as effective playing for someone in the Premier League as he would be in the Championship? Because in the Championship, we were going there probably like being the better team and controlling the game more, whereas in the Premier League, we're not going to have much of the ball. And you're asking Lefebvre to basically do a lot of running and defending. Yeah. So is that perhaps the reason why we're looking at a midfield three of Xhaka and Siddiqui and Diarra, because of the engine room, because of Xhaka's experience? And maybe it's like Lefebvre comes on when the game is stretched a little bit in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point you made there about when we're out of possession, what's going to be happening, because flair players, we can't afford to have somebody just hanging out on the wing, waiting for the ball to come through. Yeah. We'll get slaughtered if that's the case. So he's got to find out, what the best combination is. But the good news is, if it ain't working, I think we've got more resources now than we've ever had in that area, and it's going to be finding the combinations. But I think we can pretty much pencil Xhaka and Diarra in, nailed on. They'll be starting the vast majority of the games, and then the combinations outside of that, and see what works best. But yep. Neil made a very good point there, that these flashes of brilliance, are great, and it gets everybody fired up. But there has to be an end product.
It's all right, like basically deja vu of Patrick Roberts, isn't it? Basically.
Yeah. I mean, how many times did he cut in on that right wing onto his left foot, and you think, bang, and it just didn't work, did it? How many over and over and over again, running along the length of the 18-yard box and nothing coming of it?
I mean, sometimes he was unlucky because he hit the bar, hit the post, or just whisked through. But I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but the conversion rate, the brilliance to an end product, single figures percentage-wise, if you analysed it.
Yeah. Neil, onto the left wing then. I reckon it's pretty obvious that Simon Adingra is going to play. Mermain Mundle's out for at least 3 or 4 months by the looks of his operation. I think it's helpful that he's got a goal to his name already. Because from looking at his stats, he does score a few goals. So I think for him to break his duck in a pre-season friendly after moving, I think that's helpful for him and helpful for the club.
Yeah, he will get that left side of the front three in a 4-3-3 that Lebris plays for sure. I mean, he's got Premier League experience. He's only one of 2 players in the whole team that does. Terrifies me when I say that, but it's true. He's looked decent in pre-season. He's got a bit of pace. His positional sense is pretty good. Again, back to Jeff's point there, question is, in the Premier League, can you create chances and can you score chances from that position on the left-hand side? Now, we've had the luxury of having Jack Clark in the last couple of years, and that's what he consistently did. And we got used to that. And then we had Mundle come in and do similar things. The big challenge for Adingra is not just to look good, but to actually create goal-scoring chances or score goals. And the two are very different. To your point about Patrick Roberts, if you look at players that play on the right, cut in on the left and score, he doesn't do that. He plays on the right, cuts in and doesn't score. Now, look at someone like Saka. That's how you play that position. And I know it's unfair to compare Saka to Patrick Roberts, but that's the top level of ability in that kind of position, that sort of player. we're not at that stage yet. It would be unrealistic to think we would be. But you need players coming through that can show enough flashes of that in the Premier League to get you goals or to help contribute towards them. The other guy on the right-hand side, we haven't spoken about him yet, Talby. A lot of people have been a bit negative about him. Saying he's not quite worked out whether or not he's playing up forward or back. So he's in between sort of player. I think it's too early to tell. Again, he came from Belgium, a bit like Siddiqui as well. So the level you're not sure at. I thought he did okay. The good thing is, though, we have multiple options. I mean, Lefebvre played on the left a lot of the time last year, so we've got players that can fill in if things don't work out. And wingers, in a way, they're exchangeable. If it doesn't work out, you take them off, you bring another player on, change formation, whatever. We just need to get enough out of them to justify buying them in the first place.
Yeah. Jeff, on that point of Robertson Talby then, because I've looked at both their stats and neither seem to be prolific at scoring. Talby has had a slower start than Adingra, but he has started all of the main pre-season friendlies with the rest of the starting 11 that's likely going to play on Saturday. But do you think perhaps Lebris is having a rethink and possibly might put Robertson for the first game because he knows what he'll get in terms of work rate?
Well, so it all remains to be seen. The good news is the options available to him, and it's down to him to work that out. And I'm sure we'll be looking at it on the training ground and one thing or another, and trying to get it. But I'm just hoping, as I'm sure we all are, that we can hit the ground running and get ourselves off to a flying start, because that would just give the place. The place is going to be buzzing, isn't it, on Saturday anyway? Looking forward to it. I think that full house, first game back in the Premier League for 8 seasons, the place is going to be absolutely bouncing, and I can't wait to get there on Saturday. I'm really, really looking forward to it. It's going to be like another highlight of me Sunderland following career.
Well, Jeff, I know you've got to head off in a minute, but I just want your opinion on one more thing, which is about the stadium. It's been reported in the news last few days that Sunderland Council want to build houses behind the south stand on the sheepfolds land. Bob Murray's has criticised it. Kirill Udrefs has criticised it because if that goes ahead, it would mean that the south stand wouldn't be able to be extended as the club have planned for years and years. However, Sunderland City Council say there would be enough space, but if you look at the plans, it does look very, very tight. So I don't know if you've heard about that and thought about it.
I haven't really seen a great deal about it. I did see something on the internet about it that Bob Murray had basically he's started a petition or something, or has he
there's a petition and people have basically got to email Sunderland City Council objecting it and.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, the thing is, around that area, there's still quite a lot on the other side of where Sheepfolds is you come over the Weymouth Bridge and that, and that area on that industrial estate. I mean, there's lots of disused stuff there, isn't there? Mm-hmm. I'm sure they must be able to find some sort of compromise where both things could be completed. If they ever needed to extend the stadium. There surely must be. I don't understand why it has to be one or the other. Why it can't be, a bit of both.
Yeah, well, because that area is getting a redevelopment, isn't it? I mean, Neil, 5 years ago, we wouldn't have even thought about extending the stadium, would we not? But I mean, now when you got 38,000 season, well, I think they said that the other day it was 41,000 season ticket holders, including corporate. And Jeff's one of them, by the way, not corporate. He's got a ticket in the East Stand, I think, Jeff, haven't you? Yeah, fair play. I think that 41,000 season ticket holders leaves about 3,000 or 4,000 general sale match day tickets, and then you got the away fans. Because I think the capacity is about 49,000, but I think it's been reduced now because of health and safety reasons. So you would like to think that if we do stay in the Premier League for a good few seasons, that demand will rise, and then an extension could be inevitable.
Well, I mean, first of all, it wouldn't be Sunderland unless something stupid or bad was happening, right? And it's all been going far too well the last few months. So for the City Council to come and do something so boneheaded right before the start of the season is absolutely typical. I think the City Council will not take another look at this because they know that Sunderland is a one organisation town, and that organisation is not the council, it's the football club. And people like KLD and Bob Murray get way more respect and love and affection than the council do. So I think they'll take another look at it. As to your point about the stadium capacity, what an amazing position to be in, where you're even thinking about adding an extra 10 or 15,000 seats onto what is already a very good stadium with the top 10 attendances in the whole of the UK, right?
Yeah.
So,
Jeff, you have to leave. Right, I'll see you on Saturday, Jeff. All right, ta-ra.
Yeah, look forward to it. I'll be in touch.
Right, see you later,
Jeff.
mate. Sorry, Neil, go on.
No worries.
Yeah, so I suspect that they'll take a look at it and work out a compromise, if you like. But yeah, I mean, in a way, good position to be in. Shows where the club's got back to. And if we can stay up and be consistent, there's no reason why we can't fill that stadium and fill more seats, right? You know, that lot up the road get, well, allegedly 50,000+ every week and would like to get more. I don't think there's any reason why we can't do the same if we've got a team that deserves the support.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll have to watch that closely and see what happens. Right then, Neil, to finish off then, what are your predictions for Saturday?
I think we will get a very narrow 2-1 win. There you go.
A narrow 2-1 win. I mean, I've been saying in WhatsApp groups and on other podcasts, I've been saying I'll be happy with a draw. So I'm going to go for a 1-1.
Show a bit of optimism. Come on, it's the first game of the season.
Well, I do always have the optimism, but I don't know. I just think like West Ham have had a pretty decent pre-season. They've scored 8 goals, and their key players seem to be on form. And we've scored 3 goals in pre-season, and our strikers haven't scored any of them. So I don't know. You know what I mean? Like it's a bit like the playoffs, isn't it? At the end of the season, the last season, and the playoffs, everyone thought we were gonna flop because of that run we had, and then look what
There you
happened.
go.
So we'll see what happens. But Neil, anyway, thanks for coming on, mate. It's been a pleasure chatting, and we possibly might catch up on Saturday for a pint if possible.
It'd be great. I've enjoyed it. Thanks for having me on.
Cheers, mate. How are the lads?
How are the lads?
Thank you.